You're tuned into Taiwan Grooves. Let's explore the local music scene. Good day, everyone, and dear listeners, welcome back to Taiwan Grooves. Today, we're gonna pick up where we left off and continue with our awesome combo of handpan and bass duo. Yes, that is right. I am talking about Mans and Addi and their recent latest creation called Handemic. Now, the first song you heard is called Sage Steps from the mentioned Handemic album. Now, before we continue with our interview, let me just give a brief recap. So, Mans and Addi shared their musical background and how the album came to existence. And if you haven't heard the last episode, I recommend you go check it out. But we finished on a note saying that after making a finished album, it opened a lot of doors for them to continue to pursue this creative endeavor and hopefully add more musicians and more colors to what they're doing. All right, now let's jump into the interview. Give a warm welcome to Mans and Addi.
Cheers. I mean, one really cool thing was like we've been playing, we've been doing some recording sessions. We've got wonderful musicians on it, right? I forgot to mention all their names. We're like Ugo on guitar, we have Liao on keys, we had Hu Jie on drums, we had Axel on guitar as well, Addi bass, myself on pen, and then my sister came in with some breath work. It was really fun. We got it all done at Mood Sun Studios over at Wonsan.
Shout out to Mood Sun.
And Hu Jie, Jimmy. And so what was really cool for us actually is that as you're exploring and talking about the genres and how it feels, kind of be put in that box. The live show for the album, the videos, we're putting them out now slowly, but they kind of got psychedelic. It kind of got rock vibes. It kind of got upbeat. Some people were grooving and moving and dancing to it. Because when you have a 5-piece and it's live and you're not, recording, so to speak, you're there in the moment, kind of connected and making that song come to life. Like, it was a totally different feeling, and I think that's what I'm excited to do more of. Unfortunately, it's hard to get like 5-piece band bookings, like unless we do them ourselves at the Red Room and stuff. But that was a whole new experience. Like, it didn't feel like, oh, we've done this, we've recorded this, and then let's do a show for everyone else. My experience tells me that show was everything. Like, it was better than all of it that came before.
No, as Addi said, like, now it opened more doors and gave you more ideas. Of course, you're not gonna come up with the perfect thing on the first try.
Yeah, right.
But I see that you're proud, you're happy. All that matters.
Well, the second one's going to be perfect.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
The second one's called Breakfast in Bed?
Breakfast in Bed.
Yeah.
Work in progress. That's the next one.
Since you mentioned that, can you tell us something about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think right now we're kind of looking at 2.5 tracks. I think that we're calling like pretty set. Feeling pretty good about. The half is needs a little more tweaking, maybe a little more than half. And I think we're shooting for another sort of six song project, so maybe not super long. And I think we're trying to 2 main points for this next project. The one is we're going a little more DIY approach. So we're going to see if we can get good recordings without necessarily having to pay for using a studio.
Right.
And then the second part of it is I think we're excited to sort of zero in on potential for a trio. So we have the bass, we have the pan, and then thinking about what a third voice could be. Voice, either human voice, vocals, or maybe other possibilities,
So
but kind of streamlining it to just a trio and seeing how that works.
What are you hoping for secretly? Drums or guitar?
No, I think we've got one of them with a vocalist that's coming out pretty nicely, and then like you said, I think we'll explore. It's still like, this is literally, we just practiced yesterday and just exploring and figuring it out. But putting music out is not as important right now. I think it's more of just continuously, like Addi likes to say, touch it every day, play with the songs, play with the instrument, play with the feeling. And then in the meantime, it's been nice. We have quite a few opportunities to play and perform and share, and we can always explore different songs, different pace, different vibe, and just keep on playing. And right, to be rewarded to play is just quite a privilege, quite an awesome experience. Yeah.
That's true. Any time, any day, I get a chance to play music with people I care about and play music that I care about as well. That's like, in many ways, for me, it's like, oh, we're already here. We're doing it. That's success. Of course, there's always a drive to maybe do more and do bigger, and that's all exciting. We're going to keep going for it for sure.
Going platinum.
At the same time, being able to, any given practice session, any given gig, just be like, yeah, this is what I like. That's it. We're doing it. So I feel very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the chemistry you have going on. I mean, it says 10 years of musician partnership.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Congrats.
I mean, he downplayed it earlier, right? Like he was playing bass, singing, writing the songs, put the band together. It was pretty cool. And he's still keeping busy with all of those activities. And like, I think this as a side project at first, and now hopefully surfacing as something more so for both of us is really, really cool.
All right. Well, when can we expect the second project to come out?
I don't think there's any. Yeah, I don't think there's much of a deadline, but we are putting together quite a few little performances, and I think we do have set dates for our next show, which will have dance, which is pretty fun. It could be a nightmare. It could be awesome. We have no idea, but working with really, really cool
some nightmares
people.
are really awesome.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, I just got a darker pan. No, but it's we're working with this guy named Billy. He was in Cirque du Soleil. He's very, very creative mind, very active, dancing, directing, producing stuff, and an amazing choreographer. And so we really want to work together. We've wanted to work together for a long time. He's actually gotten me a lot of opportunities as a handpan player. He puts me in random forests or on a tree or, you know, under a waterfall. And it's been a wild 3 years. Ever since he saw me holding this thing, he's just like, you, there, go. And then he'll dance around it, floaty clothes. Like I've done some weird stuff. It's been really fun. So this is the first time we're going to work together to actually build our own show.
Right.
And so we'll meet up. We'll see what kind of music, what kind of flow. This will also be a 5-piece band for us. Handpan driven, and then I think right now we'll have 3 dancers. So it should be 2024 November, I believe the 4th weekend. So I think that's 22, 23, 24.
It's coming up. Yeah. It was like scheming and just talking about this idea. It seemed farther away, and now it's like, oh yeah, that's like we gotta
practice.
Get our stuff together here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned that the album was reflecting on your journey in India. Do you, when you make the music, like, do you have some kind of something in the back of your mind to convey to the listener? As you said, it has different styles, so I like that because it's not just bound to one style. So as you said, one song you can groove, one song you're in the forest, and the next one you're meditating. Do you have something like that you're trying to throw onto the listeners?
Oh, definitely. I think more often than not, you hear, or I've heard, artists are like, oh, this is me battling through this trauma and I'm sharing my trauma and now you can feel my pain. Like I really feel like a lot of the traumatic experiences I had in India at that time, it's forgotten because playing handpan, these songs, they tell a different story. They open my perspective up. So yeah, if I were to kind of go down the list, like the first song named Ceremony for the sake of how sacred the fire is, the gathering, people together, following your heartbeat. And it starts in that kind of rhythm,
And your breath.
yeah, with breath, and we move into sage steps, where in my mind is kind of when you learn to settle into your space and no longer fidgeting. You don't look left and right, you don't have to overthink, you just be where you are, practice being present. And if all goes well with that, fairy forest is where things can start to feel a little lighter. You might feel, you know, floaty. Maybe there's some sparkles around you. I don't know what's going on.
There's a little element of exploration too. I
Definitely.
think you've centered yourself, and then you're able to branch out and see what's behind that tree and see what's over in those. I think, you know, there is an element of nature that we were having in mind in the composing and the playing and what we hope comes across.
Oh yeah, no. And then, like I said, there were meant to be more tracks, but just maybe we skip a few steps along the way. But you know, Fairy Forest leads into Trops, and Trops is very much, in my mind, meant to be the phase in this journey of reflection and, you know, kind of inner calm and inner peace. Trops is where you can let it go. The smile is irresistible. The smile just breaks out, and you kind of maybe a little giddy. Maybe a little bouncy, a little more upbeat. It's got a very positive glow in my mind and to my ears. And so far, when I teach or when I share, that is the one groove that everyone kind of goes, oh, I like that. Fairy is like, oh, I have to actively want to listen to handpan now. And yeah, maybe I'll enjoy it, maybe I won't. Trops is just regardless. Anyone who's ever heard it in my presence, obviously, whether they're being polite or not, like it's just, ooh, hey, what's up? Okay, cool. So Trops is kind of bouncy, it's fun. And then we go into Hip Starter. Yeah. Hip Starter is very much like a mixed bag of stuff. But I would say it's considered the most fast-paced song we have produced. It's got that bossa groove in there. It's got some. I would love a rapper on that one day.
Yeah, I think we there's kind of this little meme, this joke between us. There's this one section of that last track, Hip Starter, we just refer to as the club, like in thinking about like a nightclub, and it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, it's I think. It's
just
not
ripped
a
it
joke.
out of 50
It's
Cent.
Like, nah,
just ripped it out of 50 Cent.
We stole it from 50 Cent for sure. But this idea of like let's get the handpan in the club, let's get it everywhere. It's not like that's the one specific destination we want to go, but the idea that it can groove in these different genres and musical spaces than I think most people generally think it can. So to tie it back, kind of, I think finishing the story of this album on a climax that's got a groove that kind of makes you want to move your body a bit, makes you want to dance a little bit, hopefully
and hopefully makes you want more, and then we'll come out with more one day.
And then you're hooked, then we got you.
Yeah.
I like how you're branching out the trees, go behind, and suddenly, wow, a club
In the
Taipei
forest.
101.
Like, whoa, let's go.
Yeah, love it.
Right.
Wait, let me ask you, just out of curiosity, if you were to have one more track to finish the album off with, would you still leave the 5th track as the last one? Or would you go more into like the Breathe, like a first
Good
full
question.
circle?
Yeah, no, great question. I think I'd have to eat my own words, right? Because earlier I mentioned not passing the trauma to any listeners through the music. The one song that got cut actually was meant to represent a high level of anxiety, high levels of tension, because part of my journey was very intense. The part that, traveling 5 states during national lockdown, not knowing, what could happen. It was a high-risk situation for me. Very sleep-deprived, very nutrition-deprived. It was a very, really intense period. So when we were talking, when I was trying to explore the storyline, one of the tracks to really kind of represent that part of the journey was meant to be like kind of high anxiety and tension. One of the songs was going to be called Momentum. And it's just the idea that like something's moving, but you don't know when it's going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if it's going to get faster, get slower. You don't know where we're going, but it's just going. It's still there. There's nothing comfortable about it. But through music, it's, kind of, as Ugo would like to say, like talking about music is kind of like dancing to architecture. It can seem quite futile. Like I'm trying my best here. But if we had a track, it would be full of trauma and tension and anxiety.
Yeah, going back to what we cut and what didn't make it would probably be those tracks. And I would say, to specifically answer your question, I still like the idea of ending the album with Hip Starter. So if we were to squeeze in one of those more
it would be before
anxious tension
So Momentum would
tracks.
be number 5, and then
Yeah, maybe
Sure,
something
sure,
like
sure.
that. Yeah.
Good to know. No, I like that, as you say, like you don't want to put your feelings or anxiety onto the listener or something, but perhaps they would find themselves in that track with something else, with their different trip in the US or somewhere.
Right. Everybody
yeah.
brings their own stuff to
Right.
whatever they listen to, right? Their own.
And it's an instrumental album, so there's more room for interpretation.
More,
and,
definitely.
One perspective, it's harder to market, harder to hook you in, harder to relate. But at the same time, it's also easier to, mirror.
There's a more broad, I think, for those that do lend it their ear and do spend some time with it. I think everybody can find something in it, specifically because there's not a lyric, a word message. It's like too specific or doesn't include other people's experiences. I think it's just music. Everybody can get down with music. So,
But I am really excited to hear some of the feedback. Like my cousin just had a baby. He couldn't get the baby to sleep forever. Dhruv was just like never going to sleep. And now
No,
I get
really?
regular photos like on a daily, if not weekly. And he's just like, he's finally asleep. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, playing your album.
No,
Just playing your album.
You never told me that.
And
That's beautiful.
quite a few friends from the past. Obviously, like friends will be friends, but it's still really, really beautiful to hear. Some of them, with insomnia, high anxiety, they take a listen and it helps, and they can kind of put themselves to bed, ease into sleep, ease into rest. And again, like we didn't make any of these songs thinking like, here's a sleep playlist.
Right.
No,
There's some upbeat stuff. Some of them are in higher beats per minute, but at the end of the day, I think we somehow crafted something, even if it's only 5 tracks, where more often than not, I'm told we need more. Like I need more. If you're entering this state of mind, give me more.
Always keep them wanting more. It's a classic.
Like if
it's a classic
write
show
me a check
business
and I'll
trick.
do a lot more. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Just make sure cousin doesn't hit that 5th song, otherwise the baby will go.
He's out by then.
All right, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Definitely out by then. It's a baby.
No, but that's
Yeah.
really nice. As you said, like people will find themselves there. And wait, so when you said from the marketing perspective, it's harder to sell, it's harder to market. Have you thought, or has it popped up in your head to go like, okay, we're gonna add voice for majority of these songs, or?
Not so much for the sake of the market, but in a way, yes, for the sake of the market. Like it's a bit of both.
Mhm.
We happen to be in that phase now where tagging it with vocals, but doesn't mean they're gonna have lyrics. So
Yep.
the current vocalist we're working with, she actually preferred not to have lyrics, and we
Mhm.
were very much on board with that.
Mhm.
Because then again, we can have more exploration, but it still supports what most listeners are used to, which is to have a voice,
I have a human voice. Yeah.
Mhm.
to have a human voice. And so that's great for potential marketability, I guess, but it's also fun for us. And it's also really beautiful to see someone take the lead on something, and vocals often do that. They can kind of work off of the foundation. And, drums and bass is usually the foundation for so much music. Handpan and bass can serve that purpose as well. And it's really cool.
It's also just so like humbling and exciting when someone else is interested in stuff that we've made. Like,
care? You know
oh,
my name?
you want to play music with us? Oh, you don't hate this? Oh, cool, great.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for. Oh, you have a cool idea about what you could sing here? Wow, awesome. Like that's
I feel like
always
you have
fun.
such versatility that anybody could just come in and plug their instrument, just somehow make it work.
That's
Because
the
you're
dream.
very, very open about everybody joining in and making it work.
I think set and setting for that, it's been a long time. Like personally with Red Room, it's all about that kind of energy,
Mhm.
but trying to make music, trying to, be an artist as well as manage that kind of environment. It's set and setting so you can manage your different energies, different intentions, and also to have the ability to focus.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say it's like open season. I think it's quite important it's not everyone that you could vibe and jam with the same way we happen
All
to.
right.
I think there is magic there. I think but
Yeah.
what you're saying is true as well.
Mhm.
It's just happened to be in a stage where being selective is really, really good.
No, of course.
Yeah.
All right, last question. If you were to share some thoughts, could be to somebody who's not playing, somebody who's a starting musician, somebody who's just thinking to put their first song and album together, somebody who's
Sure.
picked up an instrument and wants to play.
Yeah, I think I would always dream of being really, really good at guitar. I haven't practiced or pursued that. But the reason why I bring that up is because when I was really young, like I just remember seeing a guitarist play, and someone, I think it was probably my mom, she just looked at me, she's like, that is not a person holding an instrument, that is an extension of him. Like he was one with the guitar. And I think, Addi mentioned earlier that I used to play drums with him. You remove the sticks and I'm just that much closer to the instrument, and I've felt more connected, and it's almost like the sticks got in the way. And I think for anyone, you can find an outlet or become one with your instrument. That's just such a blessing. It's so beautiful. I think that's the goal, that's the journey. And so how good you are at it or whatever, that's all subjective, right? But if you can flow and become one with your instrument or instruments, that's the dream.
I'm going to jump in on that to become one with your instrument. I really believe in this. This is something that somebody said at the Red Room. It really stuck in my head many years ago, that they said, touch it every day. And so for me, that means crucially, it is not practice every day. It's not, okay, show up and do 2 hours of work, practice. It's just literally just touch it. The idea that some days maybe you're tired, you're stressed, but you sit down 5 minutes, you pick it up. And if you really do make a point to just do that every day, more often than not, you probably do 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. And after a year, it's like, well, that's a lot of time with this thing, whether that's music, whether that's learning another language, whether that's learning pottery, really anything. It's the idea of you can accomplish so much if you do small little bites, but a lot of them. You got to do it every day.
Right.
But I've had times where I've been out of town or something, and like I don't have my bass or my guitar with me, but still kind of find some way to just get my brain thinking about that, or someone's got a ukulele. I don't really play that myself, but that counts. That touch it, 5 minutes. So. That's my spiel. Touch it every day.
Yeah, I mean, because your best work has to be in the future, right? It's to come, and you can only improve along the way towards that. Because like what we just put out,
You take that back.
I think flow state, extension of your stuff. Yeah. That's really touch it every day.
Show up for it. Yeah.
All right. I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to the live performance.
Yeah,
you
thanks for
guys.
having us, man.
Cheers. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you. That was
Philip. Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you. And that's it for today's episode. And we still have little time to squeeze in a part of their song called Hip Starter. Remember to check out their latest album called Handemic. So sit back and get your groove on with the song called Hip Starter.